The next bit is protein. Now, yes, of course there's protein in broccoli, there's protein in many sources, but I'm specifically referring to animal-based proteins. I feel that you need a source of animal-based protein at every meal, okay? I'm not saying you could never, ever have a vegetarian meal, but I don't. I would always add something. So in our studio, the Healthy Living Program, we've got like a little WhatsApp group we put with that. So I went out for lunch yesterday, this place makes lovely salads. I always just say, stick some chicken, bacon, avocado in there for us. And it's brilliant. You know, it's just really, really good. So protein. Now, when I'm referring to protein, I'm referring to animal-based protein. So you have your primary and secondary versions of that. Your primary proteins would be the meats, that's including the fish, and the organ meats. Organ meat is very nutritious, very nutritious. So if you like organ meat, go for it. Again, good quality sources. Any major carnivore, carnivorous animal, it's the scavengers that get the meat. It's the the predator will get in and stick their head inside the carcass and eat the insides. That's the healthiest part. And essentially the arse cheek we pay the most money for is the less nutritious part. So organ meat's really good. Okay, so we're talking about animal-based proteins. Now, obviously we want clean quality, so you need to know where it's from. So we want if we don't know where it's from, you've got to ask for things like free range, organ meat. Bone broths are really good. So bone broths are such a healthy part of the diet. Every population had bone broths, and actually they would give priority to pregnant women or anyone who was pregnant women, children, or anyone who was poorly. They would give bone broth. So the old expressions, have chicken soup if you're unwell, it was chicken broth. You just boil the bones up. Okay, you have a whole roasted chicken or a beef joint or something like that. Boil the bones up for a day. If you want to put some onions in there, some carrots and stuff, you can do that. You can just essentially boil it up, makes a thick sort of gloop, and you make delicious bone broths. You can use it for sauces and things like that. Very, very nice. So we want a source of protein at every meal. For weight loss, we need to stabilise our blood sugars. Okay, you need protein to help stabilise your blood sugars, and we'll come to that. You need to regulate your blood pressure. Your blood pressure, if you have blood pressure issues, you have a blood sugar issue. It just goes hand in hand. As your blood sugars destabilise, your blood pressure will go up. Okay, go hand in hand. So here's like an example, an omelette. So primary proteins would be the meats and the organ meats. Secondary proteins would generally be dairy and eggs. Now, I'm not asking you to have anything you're allergic to. If you're allergic to dairy, I'm sorry, don't eat it. You're allergic to it. You know, if you was allergic to peanuts and your throat swelled up and your face went like you almost died, you wouldn't kind of go, I really like peanuts. You kind of just go, I'm sorry, I can't eat that. But if you're not allergic to dairy, cool. So every meal should have a source of primary protein, essentially meat or organ meat, and secondary proteins are good to up the content. So what I mean by that is if you have an omelette, that's a secondary protein. You probably want a bit of meat with it. So put some bacon in there, good quality, or sausage, or some ham, or you might have, like here, scrambled egg with some smoked salmon on it. So you want that protein. Avocado is a lovely source of monounsaturated fats. You know, here's a tuna mixed together. People used to have things like kippers and stuff for breakfast. I mean, something like that with a poached eggs and some spinach. Wonderful, you know. Essentially, these are just beef strips, aren't they? Steak with broccoli. Chicken stir fry, bone broth, tuna steak. These are just liver with mushrooms, and so it's not that difficult. So again, coming back to the question earlier, what do I have for breakfast? These are the sort of things I have for breakfast. So not all of these photos are mine, but many of these are. That's what we'd have for breakfast. If you like a little meal, have a smaller one. If you like a bigger one, have a bigger one. So a source of protein. Now I use this quote from Dr. McCullough. This talk is less research based. Okay, I've not put so much research in, it's more about action points. So first off, whole quality foods and clean food, source of protein. But McCullough, he quotes why he doesn't recommend vegetarianism, which is the same as myself. He says, I do not recommend following a strict vegetarian or vegan diet because eliminating all animal foods from your diet puts you at risk of nutrient deficiencies, as there are some nutrients that simply cannot be obtained from plant foods. That's why I feel we need animal proteins at each meal.